All right, welcome everybody to the Dekalb City Council regular meeting of February 28, 2022. I'd like to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Barnes.
Here.
Morris.
Here.
Larson.
Here.
Smith. Perkins.
Here.
McAdams.
Here.
Verbeck.
Here.
Favor.
Here.
Clerk Cohen here.
Alderman Smith did reach out and let me know well in advance that he would not be able to make this meeting, so it's understood why he's not here. And with that, Mr. Shadow Gentry, you want to come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nice job, Shadow.
Mayor?
All right, moving on to agenda item C, approval of the agenda. Oh,
I apologize. I'm not sure what the appropriate point for
Sure.
this is, but are we doing masks or not? Is it library policy that we wear masks?
Whatever you want.
Okay.
Our staff is required to wear them in public areas, so I'm going to keep it on until I'm speaking, but the mask mandate's lifted for Illinois, so however you feel like.
yeah, and I noticed there was no requirements when we walked in the door.
I noticed too.
Yeah.
It's on you. Just in case they walk by and see me, I figured I'd better.
Thank you.
I keep saying I'm double vaxxed, I'm boosted, I've had COVID, I'm about as safe as you can be. All right, agenda item C, approval of the agenda. I take a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Alderman Verbeck, seconded by Alderman McAdams. Discussion at all? Hearing none, roll call.
Morris.
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
McAdams.
Yes.
Verbeck.
Yes.
Favor.
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Agenda is approved. Moving on to presentations D, we have a presentation by the DeKalb Public Library. Emily, you want to come forward? Thank you.
Now I can take the mask off. Good evening, I'm Emily Faulkner. I'm the director of the DeKalb Public Library, as I'm sure you mostly know. Thank you for having me here tonight. I am looking forward to giving you this update about what we've been doing at the library, our accomplishments from 2021, and also a look at what we're planning on doing in 2022 and moving forward. While 2021 was less disruptive than 2020, COVID still had a major impact on the library last year. We're hoping that by the end of 2022, we're past the restrictions that started getting lifted today again, and hopefully more closer to whatever normal is going to look like. In-person programming wasn't possible until the summer of 2021 when we were able to move outdoors, and indoor programming in person didn't resume until October. Those programming indoor has mostly continued since then, though we have been holding off on our largest indoor events, and we are going to do so until fall of 2022 as a cautionary measure. Usually in March, we have a really large children's event that brings about 500 people, and we thought that maybe wasn't the best plan for March since we had to start planning it back in November. So we're going to wait until September. Luckily, DeKalb has an amazing park district, and we were able to create a number of initiatives to provide library services in the parks once the weather was nice. Those included our usual outdoor programs, such as Shakespeare in the Park, but we also were able to expand our weekly story time in the parks for preschoolers, place story walks in 2 other parks that were updated monthly with a new book for families to read while on walks together, and we're currently having conversations about the possibility of making that a permanent fixture in one of the parks. We also continue to offer virtual programming for all ages on multiple platforms. While we heard from fans of our princess and superhero story times from as far away as England, most of our participants were DeKalb patrons who let us know that they love being able to meet safely with friends and neighbors from the comfort of their own homes. We've created partnerships with other local libraries to share virtual events, and we've also become part of a larger statewide initiative to bring marquee authors to our audiences for a bi-monthly series of events that has been proven very popular so far. After reviewing our usage statistics and having discussions with the DeKalb County History Center, we consolidated our local history collection with theirs, which provides a one-stop shop for individuals doing historical research in DeKalb. So instead of having to come here and go there, they were able to just go to the DeKalb County History Center, which was open more hours during the week. While we now hold fewer local history materials, the change has allowed us to offer more in-depth one-on-one tutoring for patrons looking for assistance with local history and genealogical research. With that change, we also rededicated the local history room as 309 Creative, which is a space for our maker equipment and classes, as well as art supplies and craft materials. That space is open twice a week for drop-in visitors who wish to use our 3D printers, our laser cutter, and our other equipment to create something of their own design, and we also are able to use it for art and maker classes for teens and adults, and occasionally kids. The Nancy D. Castle Collaboration Studio is still available for computer classes, but now we're able to use it for expanding our more popular anime and esports programs. While the library's agreement with District 428 and the Cortland and Malta libraries to provide library cards to kids and staff associated with the school district officially did go into effect in 2020, 2021 was the first time we were able to really market it and let everybody know they were eligible. We've seen a steady stream of excited kids getting their library cards through the agreement and some happy teachers who use our resources in the D428 classrooms. They weren't able to do that before we had the agreement in place. In 2021, we were also able to complete an agreement with DeKalb Township to provide library cards to township residents who aren't residents of the city of DeKalb as part of the township's mandate to provide library services to their patrons. While navigating the shifting rules and regulations of COVID quarantine protocols and the current employment environment, we've been lucky to be adequately staffed throughout the 2021 without any service interruptions due to staffing. In 2022, we're looking towards the future. We plan to build on our current model of offering both in-person at the library and virtual programming. We'll be evaluating over the course of the year to see what patrons like and what works well for our staff and our presenters. We are trying to focus our virtual programs more on things that don't lend themselves very well to in-person. So I don't know if any of you were able to come, but we had a really excellent series of tours of Costa Rica, where we had somebody who was live in Costa Rica answering questions live and taking us on a tour of cities and jungles and coffee plantations, which we obviously couldn't do in person unless we were going to fly everybody down there. So we're trying to shift it towards things that give you a different kind of experience. With the retirement of some of our beloved longtime librarians, we do have some new fresh faces who'll be bringing their ideas and enthusiasm to our adult book clubs and our reference desk. We're already eagerly planning for our return to 8 countries in one day, which will be held on September 17th. It's been a very long time since we were able to take our patrons on a trip around the world, and we've got some exciting surprises in store for that day. But our biggest goal for 2022 lies in determining what we can do to serve the people of DeKalb best in the next few years. A strategic plan that we're currently under runs through 2022, and while we'll be putting the finishing touches on the different goals from the current plan, I'm most excited to be undertaking the creation of the next one. That process will allow us to look at what we're doing well, what we could do better, and dream big about what we haven't even tried yet. Talking to civic leaders like yourselves, regular patrons, and people who don't even use the library to see what they most want from our library and what services we can provide to meet their needs is always the best part of strategic planning. I'm looking forward to having those conversations and listening sessions as we get the process underway. The library is lucky to have an amazing dedicated staff that's committed to public service. We're also lucky to be able to serve such a wonderful community. We're thankful every day to see so many of our patrons visiting the library, and I can't tell you how quiet it was when there were no story times or no kids here, when none of the kids were here after school. We usually get, 100, 150 teenagers after school, so it was like a dead zone up there for a little bit, but we're really glad to have them back. And I never am expecting it when I'm out in the community for a walk or a bike ride and somebody leans out their car window and yells how much they love the library. I'd also like to thank City Council and the city staff for all the assistance we've gotten from you guys over the past year. And at this time, I'd be happy for any questions that council might have for me.
Council? Alderman Faber.
I just want to say what a blessing it's been to have the library in the community for my mom the last 2 years through COVID. Especially being able to order, the large print books, and just like as you talked about, the kind of the interlibrary reservation system has been, just fantastic to be able to get, books that just aren't personally here in the library. And then having the outdoor pickup, and then, once the doors were able to be opened up to come in and pick up reservations, here in the library. So I just appreciate that. Thank you.
Good. We've been happy to be able to do that. I know a lot of people, especially during the pandemic, it really was their way to have a lifeline and experience, different things, and it was scary. So I'm glad we were able to be there for that.
Anyone else? No? Yes, Alderwoman Morris.
Thank you. How do you handle 150 kids after school?
We have higher staff during the after-school times because we need them. We've started trying different things. So if you notice, if you're upstairs, what used to be the large print area used to be really far away. One of the things we did during the pandemic, because we had staff here but less ability to have people in, was we shifted the collection. So now when you go look for a large print book, it's over where the rest of the adult materials are. That made it so people who were trying to get large print didn't have to walk. Usually people who are elderly didn't have to walk all the way down there just to find out that they needed to come all the way back here to ask a question. So we moved our teen materials out there. That also helped because the teen room used to only be open for after school hours. So if somebody wanted a teen book, we had to open the door and stand there while you browsed, which made everybody feel a little weird. Now the teen books are out in the main area, so anybody can get them anytime. And it means that we have a space where the teens can sit that's a little bit more, we think of it, it's a refined teen area. That's where they sit to, discuss literature and be better than all the kids who are in the room playing video games and, causing trouble. And that's working pretty well. So we're trying to figure out different ways to give them different spaces that fit their needs, because we have some who are a little quieter and some who are not.
That's great, thank you.
Any others? Well, Executive Director Faulkner, thank you for coming out tonight, and thank you for dealing with me at times as well. So
Oh, it's no
I
problem.
appreciate the working with you.
Yeah, nice to see you all. And have a good evening.
All right, moving on to agenda item E, public participation. We have one, Sasha Cohen. And as always, just a reminder, please keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Hello, Council. I have two things to note tonight. The first important to our city, and the second important to the community at large. First, as you will have read if you prepare for council meetings, there are 2 sets of minutes before you. In the past, concerns regarding my minutes included errors and allegations of bias. When I transitioned to taking action minutes, a recognized practice in deliberative bodies, a concern was raised about having a full record. These meetings are filmed, and for good reason. If a person wants to quickly check how their alderman voted, action minutes are perfect. If a person wants to see what their alderman said, they can do so verbatim by watching the meeting. This combination of action minutes and full recordings provides a complete package. Votes are recorded accurately in a factual manner, and rather than summarizing the thoughts of speakers, a citizen may see what they actually said without even the possibility of biased reporting. I truly believe this combination provides the best possible record for our people, unless, of course, you plan to at some point delete the recordings of what you've said in these meetings. Secondly, and far more importantly to us as a community and as the human race, my heart goes out to the people of Ukraine as they fend off an illegal invasion of their country. I'm heartened by the stories of heroism from everyday citizens, using Molotov cocktails and hastily distributed arms to fight back against a literal army. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said last week that the president was prepared to welcome Ukrainian refugees into the United States. As someone who has ancestors that came to this country fleeing Ukraine, this hits close to home. I want to respectfully suggest that the council direct city staff to prepare a plan to help with resettlement of Ukrainian citizens if they ultimately land on our shores. This could be by reaching out to local businesses and local landlords and asking, would you be willing to hire refugees? Would you be willing to provide temporary housing until they land on their feet? Not with an investment of city dollars, but with an ask from our community to come together. The last time there was a land war in Europe, my people tried fleeing to America and were turned around and sent back to be slaughtered in gas chambers. We have opportunity to help here, not militarily, but on a humanitarian level. And if we can't even offer that, what purpose is there in having leaders sit before us? Please take steps to help.
All right. Moving on to agenda item F, appointments. We have none. And then agenda item G, approval of the minutes. First, we have the minutes submitted by the city clerk. I would take a motion. All right, hearing none, we'll move on to minutes submitted by the recording secretary. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman McAdams, seconded by Alderwoman Larson. Questions, comments? All right, roll call, please.
Larson.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
McAdams.
Yes.
Verbic.
Yes.
Faber.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes,
Mayor Barnes.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
All right, the minutes of the regular city council meeting of February 14th, 2022 by the recording secretary are approved. Moving on to the consent agenda, agenda item H. Number 1, accounts payable and payroll through February 28th in the amount of $2,493,307.75. And 2, Freedom of Information Act FOIA report. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Alderman Perkins, seconded by Alderman Faber. Questions, comments? Hearing none, roll call.
Perkins.
Yes.
McAdams.
Yes.
Verbic.
Yes.
Faber.
Yes.
Morris.
yes,
Larson.
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
The consent agenda has passed. All right, moving on to agenda item I, public hearings. I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing, noting the time of 6:15 p.m. This is a public hearing regarding the renewal of the Comcast franchise agreement. Is there anyone in attendance wishing to speak on this item? And Joan, I know I'll bring you up here in a minute, but anyone else wishing to speak? All right, hearing none. City Manager Nicholas?
I usually don't speak to the public hearing portion, but,
Okay.
yeah, thank
You
you.
got it. Council, any discussion or questions? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and close this public hearing at 6:15 p.m. All right. Moving on to agenda item J, considerations. Consideration of the Kishwaukee River Bridge replacements at North First Street and Lucinda Avenue. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Favor, seconded by Alderwoman Larson. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. As you can tell from the background, this is a little different. IDOT was not looking for a public hearing, and we thought we'd put it on as consideration. It's just to let the public know in another way, and the public has been informed at a number of occasions on your agendas, that the city is embarking on a major replacement project. The actual physical construction won't occur till next year, and that's the North First Street Bridge and also Lucinda Bridge over the Kish. But a lot of engineering will be going on this year, and from time to time, there will be people in iridescent vests walking around and measuring and locating things. And so hopefully people will travel with caution through those areas, but next year will be the major part of the work, and a considerable amount of state support is going to be helping us with that. It's a $5.6 million project. 80% of that is originated at the federal level, but comes through the State Department of Transportation to us. We have a 20% local share, which comes to about $1.1 million. We've been setting aside a portion of our annual state motor fuel tax money, as you know, in our budgets the last couple of years to prepare for the major expenses next year, and some ramp up in expenses this year. So those are the main features. One other thing I should mention, and we talked about this, actually the council had to support going forward with this. There's a unique feature that's going to be installed under the North First Street Bridge, and that's a bike path that takes people from the path that leads to Northern under the bridge and up and around on the east side of North First Street in kind of a loop, like an interior loop on a tollway interchange, and then safely puts people onto the sidewalk on the bridge that will take them to the bike path on the other side of the bridge. So that was a substantial addition to this project, but it's part of the design and will be seen next year.
Comments, questions, council? Really looking forward to the First Street path underneath. That is a precarious little crossing, so that's going to be fantastic when we finally resolve that. We don't need a roll call or approval on that, right? This
No.
is just, yep, okay. All right, moving on to agenda item K, resolutions. Number 1, resolution 2022-020, approving a bar liquor license to Galindo Incorporated, DBA La Calle, 263 East Lincoln Highway. We do have representatives that are here tonight. I don't know if you want to just come up and introduce yourself real quick and just tell us a little bit about what your project is. That'd be fantastic.
So moved.
We have
Second, if you need one.
Oh, sorry, to bring, oh, yeah, thank you. Yes, can I have a motion to bring it to the floor? Moved, second? All right, moved by Alderman Vervick, seconded by Alderman McAdams. Thank you for that point of order. Now it is before us. Now you are free to speak. Thanks.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Yesenia Galindo, Dekalb Barb, class of 1993. So just to talk to you guys a little bit about La Calle, my goal is to open up a bar with live entertainment. Want to bring the live entertainment scene back to the downtown DeKalb area. Bring some more diversity into the downtown area as well. I'm not so much going to be focusing on food or having a restaurant as much as I would like to focus more on the music aspect of it and the
That's awesome.
bar aspect of it. The bar hours will be, opening up at 11 a.m., closing at, whenever downtown Dekalb closes, 1 o'clock during the week, 2 o'clock on the weekends, that type of thing. Other than that, I'm really excited to, for this opportunity, hopefully.
Awesome. Any questions for her right now, Council? Oh, Alderman McAdams.
I did want to say that Alderman Smith sends his best. He was unable to attend this evening's meeting because of a family health emergency, but he definitely wanted to let you know you had his full support. You have my
thank
full
you.
support as well.
Thank you.
And I think the support of most people who are active in the downtown area.
Thank you so much.
Other comments, questions? City Manager.
Not much to add. It's an exciting
Yeah.
prospect, and the family is making a major investment in our downtown, and there's work ahead. But this is a first step. It's a conditional license. The state license, of course, is the all-important one, but it's a great step, and we support and recommend your approval.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Oh, yes, Alderwoman Morse.
When do you think you'll be able to open?
Ooh, yeah.
My goal is to be open by the end of August and to hopefully be a part of the Corn Fest this
Oh, that's great.
2022.
Yeah.
Thrilling.
Anything else? Well, we're definitely, speaking on behalf of some, we're definitely excited about this project and look forward to opening day and coming by and having a pint with you. All right, hearing no other comments, roll call?
McAdams.
Yes.
Verbic.
Yes.
Favor.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Resolution 2022-020 passes. Thanks for coming out tonight. You betcha. All right, moving on to Resolution 2022-021, approving 10-year cable franchise renewal agreement with Comcast. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Alderman McAdams, seconded by Alderman Favor. With that, we have Joan Sage from Comcast. Joan, you want to say a few things?
Thank you very much, Mayor, and thank you to all of you alderpersons. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. Mr. Nicholas will explain more about the franchise itself. I really wanted to come just to introduce myself, to let you know that I am your person. If there's anything that you ever question about anything related to cable and Comcast, whether it's something you've heard that doesn't sound quite right or you have a question about, if you have a constituent that has a concern, please feel free to contact me. You each have a file folder here. My card is in it with my cell phone, in fact. I do a lot of traveling, again now, finally. But you can reach me by cell, send me an email, whatever works, and I will get back to you within 24 hours, I promise. In your packet is some really good information. I won't go into a lot of detail with you now, but there's a lot of information about what Comcast provides, from our cable to internet, cell phones now, just about anything that is technology related, we have it available to you. Home security, there's a lot there. But what is, I think, one of the most exciting things, especially now in today's economy, is that Comcast offers internet, high-speed internet at a very low cost. We started this 10 years ago. Our speed was 6/1. Due to the pandemic, we've increased our speeds, and now for $9.95, people who are eligible financially can get our internet that is 50/10, which will accommodate many different devices. It's designed especially for education, job opportunities, so it's a very good opportunity for folks to take advantage of that, to be connected. And in addition to that, there is right now, the government has what's called the Affordable Connectivity Program, which folks can get up to $30 off of their internet or cell phone bill. So if people qualify for Internet Essentials, they can press the little button that says, yes, I'd like to apply for the Affordable Care Act, and they can have that for no cost at all. The program that the government has, ours is, we've made a $1 billion commitment for at least 10 years to make sure that the $9.95 stays in place. Right now, the Affordable Connectivity Act should be good for at least 10 months. I think the government would like that to become permanent. At this point, they haven't made that commitment. But anyone who does take advantage of that will get at least a 30 to 60-day notice to say the fee that's going away, the credits are going away. So if you have any questions at any time, please feel free to contact me, and thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, Joan. City Manager Nicholas.
Well, thank you, Mayor. The background lists a number of the key provisions that are in this proposed franchise agreement. And I'll just say before I begin on that, that Joan has been our main point of contact with Comcast for complaints, for concerns, for kudos, and for just questions about operations for a long time. I've worked with Joan for many years, and we're not that many years, but we're well acquainted, and she's been very responsive. So when she says her number is going to get you to a live voice, that's true. We have had a 10-year agreement, and so what's proposed for you tonight is a successor agreement that has a 10-year term. A couple of other things, and I'm happy to answer questions, so is Joan. We currently have a franchise fee that's equal to 5% of the annual gross revenues from their operation of their cable system within our limits. That would continue. Also, we have for a long time had a preference for underground cabling, particularly of new subdivisions, and in existing subdivisions where the cabling has been underground, we expect that it will continue to be underground as lots are bought and buildings, houses are constructed. There also remains in this particular agreement the capacity for a PEG capital fee, and I've explained what that is. We have not invoked that, as for instance, when we moved our broadcast center over here, we paid that out of pocket, because what the PEG fee does is that it would be imposed on our subscribers in this area, but it would allow us, if something came up in the future that we thought was worth that, it would allow us to establish a fee up to 35 cents per customer per month. It's not a large amount of money, but across all of our subscribers, that would be enough to do X, Y, and Z if we chose to do so. So that is in this proposed agreement. The model that is behind the detail that I've described, and that there's greater detail, of course, in the agreement itself, has been borrowed from the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus of Illinois, which Comcast has been working with for a number of years, and that's some 300 different cities, villages, and towns that are using basically the same model. So there's consistency, and there's a track record here, and we support your vote in behalf of this tonight.
Council, questions, comments? Nothing. All right, hearing that, roll call, please.
Verbic.
Yes.
Favor.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
McAdams.
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Resolution 2022-021 passes. Joan, thank you for coming out tonight. Have a wonderful evening. All right, moving on to agenda item K3, Resolution 2022-022, approving an intergovernmental agreement with the State of Illinois Department of Transportation regarding the appropriation of funds for ADA curb ramp improvements and parking resurfacing in conjunction with the milling and resurfacing of Illinois Route 38 from approximately Illinois Route 23 to the Kane County line. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderwoman Morris, seconded by Alderman Perkins. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. As you can tell from what the mayor read, that the title is about as long as the background. The city will benefit, as will other communities in northern Illinois, from a repaving project that the state of Illinois is covering almost entirely out of its own funds. The one piece that is really why we have a resolution tonight is that we have customarily, and other municipalities have when these major projects come through, taking care of our own ADA repairs at intersections, crossings, sometimes where there's a parking component to that. And in this case, our share would be slightly less than $12,000, which is a good price. So it says two things. One, we've been keeping up, and it also says that the state of Illinois is probably generously going to take on some of that as well. So we recommend your approval.
Council? No. Okay. All right, hearing none. Roll call, please.
Favor.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
McAdams.
Yes.
Verbic.
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Resolution 2022-022 passes. All right, moving on to K4, Resolution 2022-023, amending Resolution 2020-111 to extend the deadline for the issuance of a packaged liquor license with supplemental drive-through licensure for Blue Ridge LLC, 1221 and 1221 West Lincoln Highway. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Verbeek, seconded by Alderwoman Morris. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the first of two resolutions that affect what's been known as the Blue Ridge development. It would be on the north side of Lincoln Highway across from the Fatty's Bar, and the principal, in this case, Jeff Dobie could not be here tonight, but Jeff Richardson is here, who's associated with this project, and will be here to answer any questions you may have. So, to borrow a phrase, the package of licensing that you have before you tonight, and in particular in this resolution, affects the drive-through and packaged liquor licensing for that particular property at 1221 West Lincoln Highway. This has been discussed in 2020 and again in 2021. A number of extensions have been given by the council. This is one that is beyond the staff's ability, according to the last resolutions we did about a year ago. And so it comes back to you. The proposal in behalf of Mr. Dobie was to extend your extension to March of 2023. So that is this particular resolution, and I'll answer any questions you may have.
And just to be clear, the video gaming piece is the next resolution before us. This is just for packaged liquor
Yes.
and drive-through liquor.
Package and drive-through. And then the next one is the bar liquor the basic liquor license with the supplemental licensure for video gaming.
Yeah, I know there's some questions on that one.
Okay.
Any comments or questions on this particular resolution, Council? All right, hearing none, roll call.
Morris.
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
McAdams.
Yes.
Verbic.
Yes.
Favor.
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Resolution 2022-023 passes. Moving on to K5, Resolution 2022-024, amending Resolution 2020-112 to extend the deadline for the issuance of a bar liquor license with supplemental licensure for video gaming for Blue Ridge LLC, 1221 West Lincoln Highway. Can I have a motion to bring this to the floor?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Alderman McAdams, seconded by Alderman Favor. City Manager.
As I said in the last item, in this case, the resolution attends the basic liquor license and then the supplemental license for the video gaming that goes with that license. Again, the original packaged liquor license was approved for this particular proposal back in October of 20. There was to be a one-year time frame, and then that was extended to August 23rd of 21, and then there was a 6-month extension from there to about the middle of this March in 2022. That was allowed by the city manager to provide that, and I did last fall. Now it's before you for, if there is to be a further extension, the proposal here is to go for another year to March 23, and we had recommended approval.
Council. Alderwoman Larson.
Since this was approved, the council has kind of decided that there's a moratorium on gaming. So I'm kind of wondering what happens when things change, like after you vote this, now we've changed it, and now it still hasn't happened, and they want to continue it further down the road. I'm personally having a hard time with another year extension on this. I'm not big on gaming, I'll be honest about that, but it's also dragging out a year, a half year, another year. So I'm not sure exactly what council's stand is about after we've kind of put a moratorium and it's still not there.
Alderwoman Larson, or Alderwoman Morris, sorry.
Sure, and so I am also not very big on gaming, but I feel like, and I think council in general seems to feel that way, but I think we said what we said in the confines of the rules at that point in time, and I feel like it's the right thing to do to follow through with what we originally planned, and I understand he didn't complete it within the time frame that was perhaps originally expected, but of course we've had like 2 years of pandemic, which would give any wise business person pause, right? So, you know, I think that we afford them this opportunity for the extension, and, you know, if it never comes to be, that's great, maybe, but I think we need to go with what we originally said.
Alderwoman Verbeck. Alderman Verbeck. I'm having a night.
That's good. I have noticed that our neighbors are collecting more fees for gaming machines, to everyone's concerns about, you know, what is fair for this. Certainly, the revenue, I know, has been good for our local owners and whatnot, even nonprofits. But from a standpoint of what we charge, and we see what our neighbors are charging, is there a flat fee coming that,
Yes.
that I read, or?
Yes, one more council meeting in 2 weeks.
Okay.
We're bringing it forward to increase it to 1,000, and it would be imposed on the terminal operator.
Great.
Mr. Richardson.
To your point, the reason he didn't do it was because of me. I advised him not to because of that pandemic. I was just afraid, because I started doing numbers on this, and then they started climbing. And he's got 3 kids to put through college, and he's like a big brother, but I was like, I don't need the job that bad, you know, so it's something that I told him to wait on it. So that's why this has been delayed as much as it is. But without the gaming portion, this boat doesn't float, because it just needs all of that, all the apartments above it, to make it worth doing, otherwise it's just paying off debt.
I think in some of the conversations I've heard before this that, you know, we granted you the video gaming license. I think there was 10 at one point.
Yeah.
They're one of those 10. So we want to honor that for sure. I think it's more the constant extensions. So I know like the spirit of council or the wish that I heard, and I think I heard, would be to give you the year extension. But then that's it. It's time to build or move on with, you know, a different project kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now does Alderwoman Larson, like?
I can agree with that.
And I'm sure that Mr. Dooley would agree with that too, because he's anxious to get started on it,
Yeah.
but I'm kind of the one that threw the wrench in the works.
Yeah,
So.
and we kind of want to, like the moratorium on gambling, we want to wrap that up as well. So this is one of the
Plus, we
loose
want to
ends
clean
there.
up that lot. It's an eyesore, it needs to be upgraded,
Yep.
and that will be done.
Any other comments, council? Yes, Alderman Perkins.
So what do you see for a timeline of starting to?
Well, I want to start
pull
actually
things
doing
together?
the clearing of the, what's there now, which is the pad from the old restaurants that were there. And then from there, we need to do some water and sewer and stuff, but we kind of want to get going on it soon.
Okay.
So we talked about it 2 weeks ago, and now I'm just trying to get people, and sadly enough, it's hard to find people to even return phone calls in this industry. So more or less get bids. So that's my fear on this, but we'll find something, but the math has got to work. Otherwise, to do it at a premium, I would recommend not to.
Maybe for City Attorney Rose, if we agree to the year, what does that mean? Like, does it have to be project completion, which is probably unreasonable potentially, or what does that mean?
The language that we had was, the license would issue at the year based on the satisfaction of the conditions of the resolution, which were that they had to have the occupancy permit.
Temporary occupancy.
temporary occupancy permit.
Mhm.
So, that's nothing that,
And you're-
that's what you would be approving today. It doesn't mean that couldn't be revisited. The representation that Mr. Doty made to us was that construction would begin this spring. But who knows too, so.
Temporary occupancy means substantial completion, and it doesn't mean that necessarily, although it depends. Opening in March, it means that there may be some landscaping to do, maybe some
Right.
hardscape things to do, but place is occupiable.
Jeff, do you
Well,
feel?
and then also, Mr. Doty, this is his family's money too. He doesn't get any money from anywhere else or any grants or any funding, so it's all him.
Mhm.
So that's why I am concerned. I just want to make sure that the numbers work.
Yeah. So a year seems
Yep.
satisfactory,
Yep.
okay. Council, we're good with that? Because our intent would be to approve this for a year, and if we do not have substantial completion, not to renew it.
Correct.
And we'll be as business friendly as possible in that. We just want to be a little clear on this.
It's been great to
yeah.
work with it.
Okay.
I have no issues there at all.
All right.
It was really me just being concerned because of the pandemic and even what appeared to be people making money, which is free money. Now the reality sets in that there's no more free money.
Yeah,
So who spends the money where?
that was wise counsel, yep.
Yeah, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
you.
Hearing no other comments, roll call, please.
Larson,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams.
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
All right, Resolution 2022-024 passes. All right, moving on to Agenda Item L, Ordinances, second reading, we have none. So moving on to Agenda Item M, Ordinances, first reading. Number 1, Ordinance 2022-011, repealing Chapter 22, Building Code Board of Appeals, and amending Chapter 24, Building Code, to create a new Chapter 22, Building Code Review Board, and making procedural changes for the administrative enforcement of the building code. Yeah. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Verbic, seconded by Alderwoman Morris. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. In the background, there's some detail about what I think you could call were unforeseen circumstances that arose out of probably good intentions back in 2016 when the Building Code of Appeals was first created. It had two purposes, according to the code. One was to periodically join with the staff and council in the adoption of the cyclical change of the local building code preference, which is now the international code. It's been the international code since it was BOCA about 15, 20 years ago. And that's true of 90% of the cities, at least in the north, where seasons require different kinds of codes and provisions. The other piece is why we're here tonight with this, and you may recall in your institutional history that was around the time that the city had basically fired everybody in the building department and was starting over again. And at that time, I think there was some caution about the future opinions and decisions of whoever would be the chief building official. So it also gave the Building Code of Appeals the opportunity to review and to hear appeals complaints against the building department. Now go forward to today. Since it was founded in 2016, the board has indeed helped with the adoption of the version of the international code that we use today, which is the 2015. Usually, these go in 3-year cycles. Usually, the encouragement is to wait a couple of years after the adoption of one of these. There are 5 or 6 texts. You have mechanical codes, the building code, the property maintenance code, the single-family code, the fire protection code, and so forth. And even the code agencies sometimes revise them because of the immediate reaction of some communities to, wait a minute, why did that happen? Why'd you change this? Why'd you change that? So it took us a year or so, and then the board helped adopt that in 2017 and 2018. But not once in the history of the board has there ever been a appeal brought to them, or have they heard an appeal. Coincident with the adoption of this board, there was also an elaboration, or a little bit before it, of how the city's administrative hearing process would work for property maintenance complaints and concerns. And as you know, we've been very busy with that administrative hearing process in recent years. That's all I'll say. The hearing process is defined in Chapter 17, so outside of Chapter 22 where the Building Code of Appeals is identified. So it just seems that probably insufficient care on the part of the staff bringing things to the council, that there was not at least the caution that we might be developing two different and parallel paths for appeals on the part of a property owner or manager. And this never really erupted until recently when an enterprising counsel for one of the targets of many of our property maintenance concerns discovered this other process and appealed and prevailed. So a lot of things needed to be thrown out. It doesn't make a lot of sense to have two appeal processes. We prefer the administrative hearing process, which is a lot more. It's a lot more parallel to rules of order and the presentation of facts and defense, for that matter, of actions. It's not exactly a courtroom, but there are procedures that are followed. There is a hearing officer who is trained for that, usually an attorney, and in our case it is an attorney, a long practicing attorney who's been doing hearings of this type for a long time, eminently fair. We lose them and we win them. We would like to stick with Chapter 17, which is the administrative hearing process. So what this ordinance would do on first reading and hopefully second reading as well tonight is to remove the conflict, to remove the Building Code of Appeals appeal process responsibility, keep its review process as an advisory board to the council on new codes that may come their way, not necessarily the adoption of a whole code series, but something new that might come up that this council might be interested in, or some resident may bring before you, and they would have an opportunity to review it.
Council? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Morris.
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
McAdams.
Yes.
Verbic.
Yes.
Favor.
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Ordinance 2022-011 passes on first reading. Would you like us to have a motion to pass it on second reading?
Please.
I would take a motion to waive second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderwoman Morris, seconded by Alderwoman Larson. Questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Larson.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
McAdams.
Yes.
Verbic.
Yes.
Favor.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you.
Second reading for ordinance 2022-011 has been waived. All right. Number 2, ordinance 2022-012, amending Chapter 51, Traffic, Schedule C, Parking Prohibited, Schedule E, Limited Parking, and Schedule F, Limited Parking, Central Business District. Can I have a motion to bring it to the floor?
So move.
Second?
Moved by Alderman Perkins, seconded by Alderman Favor. City Manager. And we don't need to go line by line on those 75
Not going to,
pages.
Mayor.
All right.
Very general. On page 1, well, you're right. There is a lot of background, and it's been very carefully pulled together by Andy Rye and by John Lucius, who's running our sign shop, and Zach Gill, our city engineer, and Matt Rose as well. It's a compilation of dozens and dozens of cleanup actions to deal with conflicts in the sign code. And I'm assured that it doesn't establish any new ventures, but it's mostly designed to revise language, establish consistency, clear references to actual signage in the field, And where there are signs but no language, to add the language to say, yeah, that's where that yield sign's supposed to go, or the caution sign and so forth. There's a color-keyed listing of the premier changes that would happen by street. And if you've had a chance to look at them, I hope they meet your satisfaction. We're here to answer questions that you may have tonight. I realized it as I was writing this, that whenever you're touching signage on streets, you're possibly going to gore somebody's ox, and some practice that, even though maybe not legitimate, has been going on for a long time. So if the council has not had a chance to read and reread, and it will take a while to get through all this, and if you want to approve this on first reading, we would understand. I've recommended that we approve it on at least first reading tonight, so I defer to your wishes.
Council. Okay, yeah, I think the intent is, since it is signage, would you say gore someone's ox?
That's what he said.
I think an ox would gore you.
Yeah. So maybe we'll just leave it available for the next council meeting. We'll pass it on second reading at the next council meeting. But for this one, yeah, the recommendation is to pass it on first reading.
I'll work on my imagery.
Hearing no comments or questions, roll call.
Perkins.
Yes.
McAdams.
Yes.
Verbic.
Yes.
Favor.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Ordinance 2022-012 passes on first reading. All right, moving on to agenda item N, council member reports. Alderwoman Morris, you want to start us off? Or I can come back to you.
I guess I want to acknowledge what's going on in the Ukraine as well, and my family came from that area of the world as well, and it's heartbreaking. So I know we have things going on at home as well, but that's all.
Thank you. Alderwoman Larson?
2 quick things. I was able to have coffee at the #1 Firehouse and see all the young faces of our new recruits and see them during training and stuff, so that was really fun. And the second thing that's so exciting is our 2 gentlemen in the back with Zach and Andy in the weekly minutes from Bill, that they had sent out postcards to the people along Joanne Lane, which is so exciting because I think people love to know what's going on. And so that's the first thing. But the second thing that really was so exciting to me is being proactive and saying, and while the streets are all torn up, if you have issues, now would be a good time to do it. And I thought that was just so refreshing and wonderful. And I just thought, yeah, 2 thumbs up to do that and to maybe get some of that other digging done before you finish up and have beautiful new streets. So thanks to both of you for doing that.
Alderman Perkins.
No report.
Alderman Adams.
So I had the pleasure of attending the airport meeting last week, and it was a meeting that was definitely worth going to. We had a long discussion about the long-term growth of the airport and ideas that are coming up. And in the next meeting for the airport, I want to invite everyone to come out and pitch their best idea on what their vision for the airport is for the future. We're going to really start to look at all the different things that can be done, and we would really appreciate the input.
Awesome. Alderman Burbick.
I had 2 agenda items submitted by Ward 6 residents and businesses. I'll continue accepting those agenda items, targeting a Ward 6 meeting latter part of March into early April.
Awesome. Alderman Favor.
I'll second what my older counterpart here had mentioned about the airport meeting. It was a good meeting, and the airport meeting is the 4th Tuesday of every month, so there will be kind of a little strategy or brainstorming session on what to look for or what we want to see in our community. So everyone is welcome to come to that meeting. And I also want to, again, second the kudos to the engineering team and Zach Gill and Public Works for sending out the notification, and also, right, being proactive, taking an opportunity to, while the streets are tore up, to look at water mains and, if there's work that needs to be done, and letting the homeowners know that in advance. So thank you very much. Great job. I appreciate it.
Jumping on the Airport Advisory Board, I agree. That was a fantastic meeting. Boy, there's just some committed, dedicated people out there. Alderman Favor, just commend you for always attending those meetings and being an advocate for the airport on council. Also, just want to give a shout out to Scott Zach. Man, your social media, it's great. I get the comment a lot about how much the city's keeping people informed on what's going on. So I just want to say thanks for, I know, all the time and energy that you definitely put into that. City Manager Nicholas and I met with Chairman McDavid on the Citizens Police Review Board, so that was a good conversation, just kind of checking in, see how things are going with that group, and they're moving along. It sounds like nicely. So excited to see how that's going to continue to play out. I've met with Alderman McAdams, Alderwoman Larson, Alderman Favor, and Alderman Smith so far, and I look forward to the remainder of you just getting together. We try and do that quarterly, so thanks for the 4 of you that have done that, and over the next couple of weeks I'm sure we'll get something on the calendar because I've talked with most of you about that already. And then suburban apartments and estates. I continue to get residents out there that are having issues with suburban apartments and estates, and as we all know, that is not in the city limits, it's in the county limits. There's a lot of people that don't actually know that, but it's been nice. I got to give kudos to the county that they've really reached out and helped address some of those issues directly, including some of our veterans that live out there. They really, I thought, jumped on it and did everything within their power that they could to help address that particular issue. That's all I got. What about you, City Manager?
I want to thank Councilmember Larson for saying what you did about the city's interest in helping residents as we're reconstructing roads and putting in new mains and so forth, opening the roads basically so it's easier for them to make lateral improvements. At the next meeting, I'm going to bring forward I guess we don't have a name for it yet, but the lead service replacement program. We've talked a little bit about this, talked about dedicating some ARP money. It's actually been budgeted for that. We did a survey, as you know, and the survey revealed that we had fewer people than we thought. We thought it could be anywhere from 500 to 1,000 homes in town. It's less than 200 probably. But for those 200, if they're interested, and maybe they don't notice any problem in terms of flow of water and so forth, but they all are aware now that they have lead services because they've answered our surveys. As we do 13th and 14th, and Joanne, we're going to want to make something available for them too. We run typically from the main to the Buffalo box, or the shutoff box, which is just inside the public property line. Usually somewhere where the driveway hits the sidewalk, somewhere in that vicinity. And we're going to come forward with a proposal next week, or next meeting, 2 weeks. So hopefully we get some good discussion about that. We should have the means to cover certainly all of the costs to the shutoff, and then the question is how about from there into the house, and we'll have some conversation about that.
Yes, Alderwoman Morris.
Should people at those residences be concerned about their water? And should they be drinking tap water or not? And I imagine you put that out in a letter with that.
We do,
Okay.
and you know, every quarter we put out a report on the content of the letter. Oftentimes it's not so much the services, although that's a piece of it. Water goes past inside every day, but it's back toward the source and wherever that is. You know, we're getting our water from deep in the ground and then treating it before it's put into the system. And so at this point, the water is safe to drink.
Thank you.
I think this would be great in your ward meetings too, just educating your residents about this particular program, as well as we found out the Kishwaukee Water Reclamation District also has a program for replacing sewer lines where they help offset some of the costs. And we had a resident recently on Joanne that had that particular issue. So,
and we're, as you saw in the note, we're cooperating with the KWRD to make people aware of both programs, so they could, I mean, there could be up to $10,000 might be available. That may not be the whole price, might even be, it really depends on what the issues are, so we're trying to help.
I did forget too, I was on a webinar with 350 Kishwaukee, put it on their local environmental group, and we were talking about charging stations, and I worked with Andy Rye today. We have quite a few charging stations in our community that actually aren't listed on various databases. So Andy's made a contact with Citizens Municipal, what are they? I can't remember. Do you remember the name? I know. But they help on that particular project.
Yeah.
So it's great. We were able to make a connection, and hopefully that'll allow us to start adding those to the database. Because I was thinking the Kishwaukee Water Reclamation District has at least 2, if not 3, in their parking lot. Yeah,
They do.
but it's not. It's not listed anywhere.
And although it's proprietary at this point, I attended a lunch and learn down at Meta Complex on Friday, and they had an aisle of 8.
Yeah, yeah,
Just for employees.
yeah.
You know, everyone was used.
I'm not surprised. Awesome. All right. No other reports. We can move on to agenda item O, executive session, which we have none. So that gets us to agenda item P, adjournment. I would take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Favors, seconded by Alderwoman Larson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays, same sign. We are adjourned.